Hello and welcome to the first ever episode of On the Canvas Boxing Podcast. I'm here, James, here with my co-podcaster Charlie. Say hi, mate.
Alright, mate. Alright.
How are we doing on this pleasant evening?
Yeah, not too bad, not too bad.
So yeah, we've got a few things we're gonna bring up in this first episode. We want to sort of try and do this on a weekly basis, sort of thing. We're gonna maybe on Fridays most weeks we'll go through obviously the boxing news for the week. As you will see us briefly talk about on our Instagram page, and then obviously what we think our predictions are for the fights coming up, any news, and obviously potential things to come up. So I thought obviously tonight we've got Usyk Briedis in the World Boxing Super Series semi-final. What are you thinking about that, Char?
Well, hopefully it should be quite a decent fight. Two undefeated cruiserweights, unifying the division with the WBO and WBC titles on the line. I think Usyk is coming into this as the favourite, but it could be quite closely contested.
Yeah, it will. I think obviously everyone knows that Usyk is the odds-on favourite. He's a lot bigger than Briedis. He's got a lot more range on him, so you can keep him at distance. He's a lot faster with his punches as well, and as well as that, looking on Briedis' last performance against Perez in the Mike Perez in the quarter final, he did if you watched it, he kept clinching onto that Perez quite a lot. And he was a bit of a boring fighter, if I'm honest. He's a boxer and that, and he has got a bit of knockout power with his 18 knockouts out of his 22 fights. But I don't know. I just don't think that's enough to overcome Usyk. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and obviously Usyk with his close relations with the Klitschko camp as well. He could be getting the right guidance, and obviously he's Olympic gold medalist. He's got the amateur pedigree,
Yes.
I think that raw boxing ability, will be enough.
Well, hopefully for him, I do like Usyk, and I've said from the start he's my favourite to win from the outset. And obviously we'll see if he does win, he'll take on the final, because obviously the other semi-final for the cruiserweights is next week, and that's Dorta Koskassiev. But I'm sure we'll talk about that in next week's podcast anyway. But what you're predicting for the fight then? If you had to give an exact prediction for Usyk Briedis.
Usyk with a late finish, I suppose, a bit like he did with his last fight against Huck.
Yeah, I'd sort of say the same. I could see it going all the distance, but I do think Usyk has been well prepared, and he's also been sparring with obviously next week we've got a big fight in Britain next week. We've got a Collie Chamberlain, and Chamberlain's actually been out sparring with Usyk over the last week. So obviously Chamberlain's a bit more of a boxer than obviously a collie. So I think that gives that a bit more experience of facing a boxer like Briedis for Usyk. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I do agree.
So I think I think it's clear. Not too many people. I did do a poll on our Instagram page earlier, and I think pretty much everyone did vote in favour of Usyk. It was something. 80% of people voted Usyk to win. So I think that's a clear majority.
Well, you can never say never though with the cruiserweights, because that Briedis is obviously, he's had a lot of knockouts. He's undefeated, and obviously he's going to come and he's going to want to progress. There's a lot of titles on the line, and he's got an unbeaten record to maintain. So you never know, but if you used to predict, you'd have to say Usyk at the moment.
Yeah, and that sort of weight as well. It's sort of like one punch can change anything, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, exactly.
Like
even at the cruiserweights, there's those one punch artists. So
yeah, obviously this is not till next week. But what are you? Obviously, I mentioned the Collie Chamberlain. Are you looking forward to that event?
Yeah, I am actually. I think that was the right fight to make, because it's been building up for quite a while. So it's good to see, because we never really see young guns go at it at this kind of stage. It always usually builds up until one of them's lost a load of times and lost all the hype, and then the other one carries on. So it's good to get these fights made, when he's present, like right here, right now. So yeah, I think that's going to be a good fight.
Do you think it could be a bit early for the both of them, or do you reckon it's sort of the right time in the career?
It probably is early for both of them, but it's obviously it's very good for the fans because if it doesn't happen now, it's one of them which you can't predict the future. So
End up being like Brooke Khan.
yeah, maybe it goes too far down the line and then you can't see it being brought back. But
Yeah.
the fight being made now, there's enough hype about it for it to, get enough public
Well, I
attention.
think it's almost, it's basically sold out at the O2, I think.
Yeah, that is quite surprising for two youngsters to be headlining a card like that. Well, when I say youngsters, like quite fresh in their careers.
Yeah. Obviously, Colley's the gold medalist, and
Yeah,
Chamberlain's been in the pro game, I think, about two odd years now. But yeah, I'm very much looking forward to the event. I'm going to be in attendance that night, so I'm hoping I'm going to witness a good spectacle that night.
yeah. Who are you going for in the fight?
Well, I'm actually going to go for a Collie. As much as I know people do think that he's very much hyped up his power and what he can do, and obviously he didn't get too far in the Olympics. I do rate a Collie a lot, and I've sort of I do interact with him a lot on his Snapchat. Have a few convos on there, so I must say I am team Collie for that fight. What are you thinking?
I'm probably going to go looking at the odds as well. Yeah, I think Chamberlain is a little bit overpriced. I think he's coming into this fight. He's a bit more slick. I think a bit more sharp with his tools, and I just think with the collie, like a couple of fights ago on a next gen card, if he can't get him out in early, then sometimes he can get a bit stuck in the mud and it drags on. And if
Yeah,
that against Chamberlain, I think he might be a bit too slick for him and could
he could outbox
walk
him.
it off. Yeah, I think I can't see. Well, I don't know. You could see maybe Chamberlain with a late finish if he is to win, but I'd go Chamberlain by points would actually be my
Yeah.
prediction.
That's the beauty of this fight. Actually, it's sort of like if you think back to it. Cause I was about to say beforehand when we was talking about early in their career. It's a bit like a lot of people compared it to the likes of the Gale Groves.
Yeah,
The good thing that I would say about this fight for the both of them is that because of how early it is in their career, I don't think it will damage their careers. Whoever loses career too much in that sense, because they've got enough time in terms of their age and their maturity in the fight game, where that they can rebuild their career. It's
yeah,
like the Gale lost and
yeah,
he won the
exactly.
world title before Groves.
Yeah, and he became they both went on to become massive stars and two of the biggest in boxing today.
Oh no, well obviously the Gale he's on a bit of a setback at the moment, but I do imagine he will get the rematch against Caleb Truax.
Yeah, he came there, big underdog, and he showed everyone what he was all about. He put in a very good fight.
Oh yeah, that
Yeah,
fifth round
very.
I was around my godfather's watching that fifth round when Truax was really giving it to get to the Gale and rocked him. I was well surprised to say the least. But yeah, I think we'll talk about this a lot more when we talk about the Groves Eubank fight, which is obviously
Yeah,
coming up next month, because that could potentially be a fight for Groves if he does lose out in the Eubank fight and the Gale doesn't get the rematch against Truax. It would make sense to make that one because it's
yeah,
a last fight for both of them, and whoever would win that fight would go on to take one more title.
yeah. That would be very well set up as well, and like that would be big enough for if Groves was to lose, he'd be going straight back in with a massive fight, and coming off of that could really sweep maybe a defeat to Eubank under the rug.
Yeah, and it could well set up a rematch or a fight against whoever does win the Super Series. To say if it is Smith, if Eubank wins and it's Eubank Smith in the final, and somehow Smith wins. Well, I'm not saying I doubt Smith to win because he's a very good fighter, but obviously that's a very 50-50 fight between the two. It
Mm.
could see Groves or the Gale, whoever wins that fight, to face the winner of the Super Series.
Yeah,
That could be a really great fight to make. But yeah. On from that, we had last weekend we had Spence Peterson. Did you tune into that?
yeah. I did see some of the highlights from the fight.
What did you think?
I think Spence is a very, very serious talent, isn't he, in that division? I
Well,
mean, everyone was impressed when he came over, and he really did put on a show against Kell Brook in his hometown.
that was an excellent fight. I remember we was talking about it at the time, and well, one of our friends he's a big Kell Brook fan, and we was saying as much as Kell Brook I like Kell Brook a lot myself, but that Spence was just something else. He impressed me so much in that fight. Like the body work he done on Brook to really like make him feel coming down the weight. Because obviously Brook had lost 13 pounds coming back down from middleweight, and he really did make him feel that come down in weight.
Yeah, and it's been noted that he really struggled with the weight cut as well. So it was excellent tactics by Spence. You know, he's obviously got a very smart camp behind him.
And his power is clear. Obviously, just in that Peterson fight, how he put Peterson down with that shot in the fifth. That was an excellent left hand that put Peterson down. Like I was watching it with my dad. I watched it over with my dad last night, and my dad was like, "Whoa!" Even though we'd watched the fight already, he was really like impressed by that shot that put Peterson down.
Yeah, I mean, he carries a lot of power. I mean, he ruined Kell Brook's eye socket just like Golovkin did as well. I mean,
That's the other eye socket. He's done both
yeah,
of them now.
yes, exactly. So it just goes to show the kind of power that he holds.
Can Brook have an excuse against Rabchenko about the eye socket again, or do you reckon if Brook loses to Rabchenko, that's over?
I think it would be over if he lost to him because, I mean, from what I heard after that operation, his eye sockets were indestructible or something like that. I think that was an eye socket.
Yeah, so he can't have that again. He can't really use that as his Well, I'm not saying he used it as an excuse because that's obviously a very serious injury. His eye socket, obviously, that's his sight, and that's a very important thing. But to take a knee in front of his home crowd, I think he could have sinned the round out. That's what I think. He should have sinned the round out, and then I'm pretty sure Ingle would have pulled him out after that round anyway, because I think he's a very compassionate trainer, as we saw with the Golovkin fight. He couldn't see his fighter get beaten up like he was.
Yeah, I thought that was a correct stoppage as well. I thought just as that fight had really started to turn towards Golovkin's power.
Yeah.
It really started to wear Brook down, and he put in a very good showing for someone stepping up in weight against probably arguably one of the pound for pound best fighters in the world. He put in a very good showing, but that
second round was just something else.
Yeah,
brilliant.
That uppercut that he landed on Golovkin.
If he hit a welterweight with that, say if he stayed down at welterweight and that was against Spence that fight, and he didn't have to worry about coming down in weight, if he hit Spence with that punch, whew,
I think you could argue
Spence.
If he hits anyone else other than Golovkin, that hurts him. But Golovkin's got the freakiest chin, probably the pound for pound best chin in boxing.
Jesus Christ, that Canelo fight, that big right hand that Canelo threw, I think it was the 9th round, was it? He throws that right hand, and Golovkin, he just takes it, he's just looking at Canelo, he's like, what was that?
Yeah, I mean, then that was a punch that won Canelo many fights in the build-up to that as well, so...
Like the Khan fight, that right hand won the Khan fight.
Oh, yeah, when Khan went over like a sack of potatoes, yeah.
That was a big punch.
It was a very big punch, yeah.
So do you think Peterson can come back after this, or do you reckon he might retire? Because there is obviously talk of Peterson retiring now.
I think it would probably be right for him to retire. I mean, he had a bit of a shady past with that really controversial win over Amir Khan.
Yeah, where he had the what was it, the testosterone he was being injected with? It was some drugs cheat, wasn't it?
Yeah, and also the fight itself as well. I mean, there was loads of controversy about the score, and that was such a sketchy fight. I mean, that's why most people in Britain who would have heard of him would know him from that, which isn't obviously a good endorsement. But he's 34, and I think Errol Spence is like the youth of the division, and he really showed that he's different class to Peterson last weekend.
Oh, indeed. Spence has already announced he's been quick to announce following the Peterson fight, he's going to fight on June the 16th in Texas, and I believe that's going to be against his mandatory challenger, and that's a guy called Carlos Ocampo, I believe it is.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is with you. I was watching the Boxing Gossip podcast earlier, and I don't know what and they made a good point on there. What is it with the IABF and these very outside mandatory challengers? Like what was the one the two that Brook had, like Bizier and what was it, Frankie Gavin, and they're very quick to put on the mandatory challenges as well. uh, like with Tyson Fury following his fight, that they're so quick with their mandatory challenges to put them on to people, and how unfair it was for him to get the belt taken away. And then after that, what was it? Charles Martin, when he got it, they said, "Oh yeah, you can have a year to do what you want with the title, and then you have your mandatory."
Yeah.
What is that, man?
I mean, I think that just goes to show a lot about what boxing has
And they
become
did the same with AJ,
nowadays.
didn't they?
Yeah, with yeah. I mean, the problem is with the people fighting mandatories is it is bad for boxing. It's good for fighters on like the outsides to get their big opportunities, and we do understand that. But for the public, people don't want to see people like Kelbrook fighting Frankie Gavin. People don't want to see that fight. People want to see him fight Amir Khan. The IBF should be ordering that fight to be made,
What a
and if he
fight that would
can't
have been,
fight
mate.
that, then lose the title because if it's for the sake of the sport of boxing, it should be the fights that attract the most attention. It always should be that. It always should be the best contenders with the most hype behind them fighting each other. That's the
Yeah.
way it should always be.
I completely agree with that, mate. At the end of the day, we, the general public, we want to see the best fights possible. And if the mandatory challenger obviously is a big name, like for example with Joshua, he looks like his mandatory challenger following the Parker fight is going to be Povetkin. I don't mind seeing something like that because obviously Povetkin's a very, very dangerous fight for Joshua. So I wouldn't mind seeing that sort of mandatory, but when it's that sort of when it's the mandatory that Spence is going to have to fight like this Carlos Ocampo, I don't really want to see that. I want to see him fight Thurman. I want to see him fight Crawford.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. But then I suppose on the other side, people are going to argue if you look at James DeGale, who held the IBF title, fights this unknown Caleb Trow and loses the title.
Yeah,
That's going
this guy is
to...
this Ocampo is actually 22 and 0 actually. So, and he's the North American Boxing Association Boxing Organisation champion. So he is of decent pedigree over in America. So it'll be interesting to see. It'd be interesting to see what happens between the two.
Yeah.
But I'm sure that Spence is gonna provide us with a great showing in that fight. Anyway, I don't think Ocampo has fought anyone who can hit as hard as Spence.
Yeah, or he's just at the level of Spence. Spence is a top quality fighter.
Yeah. Who do you think is the best in the welterweight division? Do you think it is Spence or do you think Thurman?
I'd probably say Spence because of what I've seen, firsthand. I know Thurman's obviously, he defeated Mikey Garcia.
Danny Garcia.
Danny Garcia. Apologies for the titles. He's obviously a top level fighter himself, and that's where he got most of their belts from. But I mean, for me, I think Spence is the real deal in that division.
Yeah, he's the truth, just like it says in his name.
Yeah.
It's certainly an interesting one. Like we see, Crawford's coming into division now. We've got him possibly facing Jeff Horn. Well, it seems as though that fight's almost been made against Jeff Horn. So I'm very excited about that. And then as soon as Crawford's on the map with that, I think the welterweight division is certainly one of the best divisions to watch for fighters coming up.
Yeah, I mean, for this new generation as well, it's been a lot of the time it's been the main division in boxing, especially in our country as well, because we had like Ricky Hatton and Amir Khan around that division. But also, if you look over the past couple of years, in the welterweight division,
Pacquiao,
Mayweather and Pacquiao have made that division their own. So
exactly,
that's always been for the last couple of years like the main division in boxing. It's only now that heavyweight is taking that title back over. It's taking over now again.
Yeah, we've got a few interesting divisions, haven't we? We've certainly got a lot of great fights to look forward to. Even the featherweight division, that's one of the best divisions, especially in British boxing, to look out for at the moment.
Yeah.
Like we saw this week, we've just had a Selby Warrington made for the first week, one of the first weeks in May, haven't we?
Yes.
What are you thinking about that? I've been, I'm a big fan of Lee Selby. I think he's a great boxer. What are your opinions of the fight?
Yeah, I think this is the fight that I think a lot of people have wanted for a long time, and it's a good job that it's been made now. I mean, I think these are two unbeaten fighters. I mean, I know Selby's got that one defeat. Yeah, but Josh Warrington undefeated. Selby, he looks unbeatable himself. That defeat was a long, long time ago during the first stages of his career. So
Certainly come on. He's a really great boxer as well. I think he can certainly outbox most in that division.
yeah, I think I'd fancy him to beat Josh Warrington. I think
Be a big
Warrington.
upset.
I think if Warrington was to win, it would be a big upset. Warrington has been.
Oh, I mean, a big upset for the Leeds fans. I mean, that's
Oh,
what I mean. 'Cause it's all at Ellen Road.
yeah.
Oh, I'm gonna try and go to that fight because I think the atmosphere for that fight is just gonna be mad.
I think a couple of times when I've seen Warrington, he's failed to impress, and he's scraped through with some decisions, especially against Kiko Martinez.
Yeah.
He got very lucky that night, and against the Japanese Amagaza a couple of years ago.
Amagasa, yeah, that was 2016, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was quite a time ago, but he was getting in trouble in that fight, and he was getting hit quite a bit. So I think, I'd fancy Selby to just have too much class for Warrington.
Yeah, I think that. Well, Selby has got a bit of knockout power in him as well. That was how he I can't remember. Did he knock out Gradovich when he won the world title? I know he won the semi-final. I can't remember. It was one of his other his final eliminator or the actual world title fight. I can't remember. But did he knock out Gradovich?
It was a stoppage, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. So he certainly has got that knockout power. But it'd be interesting to see. Like Warrington, he's only got about 8 knockouts on his record.
Yeah.
But that Chalem fight was a little bit of a statement because he managed to knock him out, but not too much. Because I didn't really rate Chalem myself. I don't think many did.
No.
So, what do you see the winner of Selby Warrington going on to do?
I think the Frampton fighters has been flying about quite a bit for a while, especially with Selby's name being mentioned. Them fighters. Yeah, they've always kind of been in the same sentence, Frampton and Selby. So I think that fight is also a good one to make.
That could be the Windsor Park fight that Frampton's been talking about.
Yeah, Frampton obviously got quite a tough fight on him
Yeah.
himself. Nonito Donaire,
4-weight world title, 4-weight world champion. That's a really big fight. And if he wins, that's a really good statement to be able to make to the winner of Selby Warrington for sure. And as well as that, the winner of Quig Valdez.
Yeah.
Then that could potentially, although I don't really want to see that, as I don't think you would, a rematch between not Selby and Quig, Frampton and Quig.
Yeah, I cannot see. I don't think I would even buy that fight again after what happened last time.
That was one of the biggest wastes of 20 quid I've ever. What was it? That was a £20, wasn't it? That fight.
I think they like to do that thing where they raise the prices on the last day.
That was horrible. That was horrible. I felt like Matchroom and E. Hearn had just bent all the fans over completely.
No surprises there.
Yeah. What's it? Another fight we've had announced this week by Warren. He's doing very well over the past week. He's just announced an O2 Arena card for April the 14th. Billy Joe Saunders facing off with Martin Murry, and Terry Flanagan going up in weight to super lightweight to fight Morris Hooker for the vacant WBO title.
Yeah, that was quite interesting. Frank Warren's fighters have the association with the WBO belt, so any opportunity.
Yeah.
I think he's going to get one, but Martin Murry getting another.
I can't believe him getting that another shot though. What has he done since he? What was the last title shot he had? Was it the? It wasn't the Golovkin won his last one, was it? It was
Abraham.
It might have been. It was one of those two. But how's he got that other shot? What's he done in between times? He's beaten Gabriel Rosado. He won on the undercard of the what was it? It wasn't Rocky. It was the September 30th. It was the September 30th Liverpool card. He fought on the undercard of that, and he's obviously lost to Groves. What's he done to deserve a world title?
Well, mate, I think it's just one of them boxing decisions, isn't it, where they kind of bring back an old name kind of into the fray, which maybe seemed a bit out of the picture. I mean, he has won 3 since that Groves defeat, but I think he's been proved that every time at the top level he's fallen just a bit short, and I can't see that being any different with Saunders, who's probably coming into his best form in his career.
Wow, especially after that David Lemieux fight, that was spectacular.
Definitely the best performance of his career.
Indeed, like to go over there and just absolutely outbox him, that was something else. And
yes, he looked.
Yeah, I don't think Martin Murray's on Lemieux's level either. Like Lemieux was obviously a former world champion, and all Martin Murray is, in my opinion, is a boxer. I think Lemieux can box about on the same level as Murray, and he's also got the power. So
Yeah,
what's he got more than Lemieux at the end of the day?
yeah, not much. I think that's just this is a name that boxing fans will know in this country, and yeah, it might just be on the card to sell out the O2.
I'll be honest with you though, I would have liked to have seen either, because we spoke about this before, either Danny Jacobs or Spike O'Sullivan to face him.
Yeah, I think that would have been a lot more interesting and exciting. I mean, Jacobs is obviously on that elite level, as he showed with that with the Golovkin fight when he
Yeah,
razor thin decision. He could easily have
I
stolen.
thought Jacobs won that fight.
If he did get knocked
He
down,
would
then
have
he
done.
probably would have. But I think that's probably what lost him that fight. But yeah, Spike O'Sullivan, he got that shock victory on the Billy Joe Saunders
He
undercard
did.
the other week in Montreal,
He did.
and Spike's been in. He fought Chris Eubank Jr., didn't
That's
he?
it.
That's probably the world class level that he had. And he took a lot from him, and he was always looking. He was always in the fight, but he was just taking a bit too much at the
Yeah.
end of the day. But he looked like that was his. I mean, that was his career best performance. Obviously, that big shot. That's put him in pictures that he wasn't really expected to be in.
Oh, indeed.
Yeah, that's put his name right on the map. It was a really important win for him. So,
Yeah,
but it does look like them two will be lining up for the fight. Jacobs and
yeah.
Spike
It
O'Sullivan. That's
seems.
what I've been seeing the last couple of
I
days.
did see. I was looking on Eddie Hearn's Twitter earlier, and I did see him tweet Spike O'Sullivan. What was it? Him and Spike were tweeting about the fight, and Spike did tweet Eddie Hearn saying send the paperwork over. We accept the challenge. So I think that will happen.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully, I think that's quite a good fight, especially
It is.
because Jacobs being that flagship of the American branch, that could be a big New York fight, or maybe Boston or something with the big Irish contingents out there. That could probably sell out
Yeah.
the US card.
That definitely sell it out. It's a really good fight, and then on to Flanagan. I think that's another good fight, especially for Terry Flanagan himself. I think he's a very underrated fighter. Very underrated.
Yeah, I mean, he never really seems to get mentioned, but I mean, his record kind of proves.
His record speaks for itself.
Yeah, I mean, he's in them light divisions as well. He's clearly a serious contender. I mean, he's beat Derry Matthews, who's probably one of the most, probably the most well-known name that he's defeated.
Yep.
But he's a slick performer. A lot of late stoppages or unanimous decision victories.
Yeah, he's certainly a good fighter. I think he's a very good boxer. And I do hope he does beat Hooker. Hooker's an unbeaten fighter himself, so somebody who's got to go in that fight. But I do predict Flanagan to come on top out of that fight. But it's just a pity. The only thing that I think would go against Flanagan is the fact he's been out of the ring since March or April it was last year when he fought Petrov.
Yes.
So it's just a bit too long. A bit too long out. He could have a bit of ring rust, but I'm hoping for his sake that he doesn't.
Yeah.
Well, another of the sort of headlines we've seen about over the last week, the last weeks, is the potential of Pacquiao versus Lomachenko. It's a bit of an interesting one, isn't it?
It is a bit of an interesting one. I think if that was Pacquiao of 4 or 5 years ago, then that would be a really excellent fight. It just isn't anymore.
Especially since the Hall
he's got
defeat.
the powers that he once was, and Lomachenko is just untouchable at times. He looks like he's probably the pound for pound best fighter.
Yeah.
So I think
I think he comes in second in pound for pound. I think Crawford's the pound for pound best in my opinion.
Interesting.
I think yes, Lomachenko's a 2-weight world champion. Has he fully unified the division? No.
I don't think that's as important in boxing as it used to be, unifying the divisions. I don't think some fighters care for certain belts anymore. I think it's just about putting on the biggest shows and bringing in the most money. And I think if Lomachenko really intended to unify the division, he easily could. I don't think there's any question that he's the best fighter around in that division.
Do you think Lomachenko
So
beats Crawford if they was to fight? Because I think that could be a possibility in the future. Do you think he would beat Crawford?
it's quite.
So it would be a good fight.
It would, but there's quite a big weight discrepancy between the two.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, Lomachenko's style I think could be quite untouchable. But Crawford's got quite a lot of knockout power as well. I mean, he finished
Indongo.
Julius Ndongo.
That was a great body shot. That was.
Yeah,
That was excellent. I couldn't believe how quick
was,
he went
yeah.
out though. I thought Indongo would have been in. I would have thought it was going to go 12 rounds in my opinion. Although I thought he might have surprised us, especially after that dominant performance over Ricky Burns.
yeah. I think that just goes to show the different levels that there are to the current boxing scene.
Yeah, it's a pity with Ricky Burns. I did sort of want him to win. He's a very nice person, and he's obviously been a good fighter. He's been involved in a few good fights over the years, like a few big ones, especially the Mitchell fight, which I certainly enjoyed. Oh, excuse me.
Yeah.
Certainly enjoyed. Jesus Christ. But no, so I don't know what's next for Ricky Burns, but I hope he does come back after that Crawler defeat.
Yeah, it would be interesting to see where he goes from there. I mean, it looked like it was kind of a loser leaves town match between them two.
Yeah. Well, we'll certainly see it. But back to what we were saying though. Do you think the Pacquiao-Lomachenko fight will be made?
From what I'm hearing, no, it doesn't. I don't think that fight will be made. I think, yeah, a lot of people talk about Lomachenko fighting the guy that he lost to, so avenging that defeat.
That would be a good one.
We would, but I mean, I think Lomachenko's just on that different level now.
Yeah.
We want to see him get tested and make them big fights.
I want to see him.
Although,
yeah, I want to see him fight Davis.
yeah, that would be a very good. That would be a very good fight.
That could be potentially it because Davis has just announced that he's going to be fighting on the undercard of Adrian Broner in what is it, April?
Yeah, I mean, it would surprise me if Lomachenko or Gervonta Davis was ever on the undercard again.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm not sure if I can see that.
I'd like to. I think that fight will if Gervonta Davis stays at the weight, because obviously he missed weight in the Fonfara. Was it Fonfara? On the undercard of the Mayweather-McGregor fight, he did miss weight. And obviously he lost his title.
Yeah.
So if he doesn't stay at super featherweight, I don't know if that fight will be made for a bit of time. But if he does stay at super feather, I do believe that fight will be made this year because I think it needs to happen. They're both excellent fighters, especially Gervonta after that Liam Walsh performance. That really impressed me.
Yeah,
he was spectacular in that fight.
Yeah, he came over and made a name for himself.
Oh, certainly. So I think that fight certainly will have to be made. And obviously another of the Mayweather-McGregor, not Mayweather-McGregor, another of the Mayweather stable fighters, Badou Jack, he's just announced himself to be fighting Adonis Stevenson. I believe that's June. What are you thinking about that? I'm really excited for that.
Yeah, I think that should be a good fight, especially with Adonis Stevenson. I mean, he's got a very long-standing championship record. And I remember when he finished Tony Bellew, he decimated him.
Completely destroyed him. Done what David Haye should have done.
He's got serious knockout power. I mean, I think that's a good fight. Badou Jack, obviously, he got them controversial decisions against George Groves and did Gale go his way, where maybe they could have, but he looked very good at light heavyweight on his light heavyweight debut on the undercard.
Yeah, against Cleverly, he was dominant against Clev, made Clev retire.
Yeah, he beat him up bad and made him. It was in the 5th round, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was the 5th or the 6th round. He completely decimated him. And this fight, actually, you might remember saying, well, we did start up a blog around that time, but we sort of left it there for a bit because we was wanting to start the podcast, but it wasn't really the right time. But at that time, I did write a blog post, which you could all check out, talking about the fact of the Badou Jack Adonis Stevenson fight and why that fight would make sense. Because I think Jack did send out a tweet on the day after or so, challenging a Stevenson, and Stevenson did accept.
Yeah.
So it has been talked about, but I'm surprised that Jack did vacate his belt. That did surprise me, because obviously he had the WBA regular belt. Although
Yeah.
would that have been able to happen with the regular title? Would he have to have had he would have had to have the super, wouldn't he, to make that fight? So yeah, that does make sense actually.
Yeah.
So, but no, we've certainly got some great fights coming up. Well, like we spoke about, we've got the BJS card. We've got Davies coming up. We've got Lomachenko. Whoever he does fight, we've got some exciting times. A Collie next week. We've got Groves Groves Eubank in 2 weeks' time. We've got Bramer Smith in the future. We've got so much to talk about. We've certainly got an exciting time ahead, and we've got a lot to discuss in the coming weeks on the following on the Canvas Boxing podcasts. But yeah, have you got anything else you'd like to say for this episode, Char?
No, nothing boxing wise. No.
No. Well, I think next week we'll be putting out our next episode on. Well, we will record it on Friday, coming out Friday evening, and I think we'll be discussing a lot more in depth the Akoli Chamberlain fight, what we think in our predictions more in depth, and I think next week we'll talk a little bit more about. We didn't really mention it in this podcast, but White Brown. Because that's certainly a fight that I'm excited for, and that's coming up the month after. But yeah, I believe that's the end of the podcast for this week. So if you did enjoy this podcast, make sure to drop a like on our YouTube channel, subscribe to us so you can be kept up to date with our latest podcast episodes, and go and follow us over on Instagram at On The Canvas. But from myself and Charlie, thanks for listening, and we'll see you all later. Take care.